Hello everybody and welcome back. I am the Pumpkin King. In today's episode we're going to be completing our playthrough of Jurassic World Evolution. That's right, we're going on to bigger, better things, guys. More on that in a moment. First off, I do want to apologize for the quality of this audio. I do have the Rona, but I'm feeling better now and I should be able to make it through the video without too much difficulty. But if I sound a little snotty, that would be why. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the last map, the last piece of the puzzle, the one part that we haven't talked about yet. This is Sanctuary from the Claire Sanctuary DLC. I don't have a particularly high rating for this island because I built it to be beautiful, and also because the visibility mechanics in Jurassic World Evolution are a little messed up. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at our map. So starting off, as we always do, we enter at the gateway here. You arrive via helicopter. And here on Sanctuary, the theming that I wanted to go for is I really wanted this to be like a garden, like a botanical garden more than anything else. So we have this absolutely beautiful area where we have the hotels that overlook this beautiful deep water bay with the T-Rex. And I wanted on Sanctuary the island to be a fusion of society and nature. So you can imagine there'd probably be a staircase down to this beautiful beach down here. Over on our left, there's a monorail to the other side of the island. I use both the monorail and the gyrosphere as rides on this one, and not just as the transportation method. But I wanted to have this walkway to the gyrosphere with these big Brazil nut trees along the side. There was an architect who, I don't remember the name, but he said that he wanted his pillars to stand like trees. You can see how the trees form sort of an archway over the walkway here. Almost like the vaulted ceiling of a cathedral. So let's go ahead and we'll hop into the gyrosphere here. This is Apatosaurus and Brachiosaurus as well as Stegosaurus in here. This particular enclosure was actually designed to mimic the Cabo Blanco National Reserve, which is mentioned in the book of Jurassic Park in Costa Rica. The dinosaurs are not being particularly forthcoming at the moment. We saw one Apatosaurus, but that's all right. I've themed this area to match in with Yellowstone National Park. Or, beg pardon, no. This is the Grand Tetons. Right here. Home to Corinthosaurus and Parasaurolophus. This is just giving you a preview of what you have to look forward to in terms of theming. Here, this is the Yellowstone National Park area. You can tell because of the difference in the quality of the grass and the dirt here. In this exhibit, I have Ankylosaurus and a Triceratops. Right over there. And I really love being able to blend these biomes in such a way that there's not an obvious demarcation for these enclosures. By the way, for the island of Sanctuary, which I'm calling Jurassic Gardens, the featured species are all of the dinosaur species that you can rescue from Isla Nublar in the Claire Sanctuary DLC. Right over here on our left, we've got our Carnotaurus exhibit, which is themed after the Pampas of Argentina, which is accurate for where a Carnotaurus would have lived. One thing that I did have to do for the game is I had to include trees, because of course the dinosaurs do have a forest requirement, though there wouldn't have been trees, and there are not trees now in that area. Would have been all scrub brush. Yeah, you eat that goat. You eat that goat. One of the things that I've been working on in this particular park is I really wanted to try to blend in with the land as much as possible, with the contours of the mountains and so on. And from the pampas of South America, we now enter into the swamps of North America, specifically to the Okefenokee Swamp, where we have our baryonyx exhibit. Now, during my time in Florida, I actually got a chance to visit Okefenokee, and it really is a shame that we don't have the ability to do Spanish moss in this game. If I did, I would hang it from everything, because it's everywhere. But I really wanted to try to replicate this sort of wetlands feel for the baryonyx, which we know were living in wetlands, though of course they lived in Europe, not North America. Next up, we're going back into the North American section. This is the Rocky Mountains State Park for our Albertosaurus exhibit. We have two Albertosaurus in here. I wanted it to be themed for the Rocky Mountains so that it would blend in with the Yellowstone National Park and the Grand Tetons National Park sections that we've had already on the tour. There's an Albertosaurus right over there. This is, of course, accurate to what the dinosaurs would have lived in during their lifetime. Albertosaurus, of course, was named after Alberta, Canada, and therefore it makes sense that they would have lived in an area similar to this. Entering into the next section over on our left, this represents Big Sky country in Montana. This is a Dracorex enclosure as well as Euoplocephalus. You can see a Euoplocephalus right there feeding. And over on the right side, this is the Dragon's Teeth Mountains from China, where we have Gallimimus and Sinoceratops. One of the things I wanted to work on in this particular section is I wanted to work on scaling. So I've incorporated some different types of plants that make these mountains seem a lot higher than they actually are by simply including these smaller scale plants. Continuing down the track over to our right, we have our Tyrannosaurus exhibit. This is based on Redwoods National Park, or the Sequoia National Forest, California. Here again, this is a very similar type of environment to what T-Rex would have lived in. Tyrannosaurus rex lived during the Cretaceous, during which time we know from the fossil record that sequoias were very prominent, and there would have been coniferous trees like this all over the place at that time. Our final section is going to be coming up over here on our right. This is a Velociraptor paddock, which I have styled to look like the Gobi Desert. We'll get a better view of it from the monorail when it goes by. Even though Velociraptor lived 70 million years ago, the Gobi would have still been extremely dry. We have a little bit of a river valley here, and there would be growth around the water's edge, but for the most part, the Gobi is just expanses of sand and rock, and there's not really a whole lot out there. And of course, our rescued Velociraptors have Blue as their alpha, since she is the only surviving raptor according to Jurassic World. So, that is the gyrosphere as we run through the dunes here. And And then we'll be boarding up on the monorail in just a moment so we can see these exhibits from above. Here's a brachiosaur. Yeah, that's right. You didn't die on the island, did you? Yeah, no crying in lava for you. I saved you and all your sisters. Take that, Claire Deering. So as we progress, over here on our left, get a good look at the Acaba Blanco section there. I've incorporated a lot of palm trees, trying to replicate the trees that would have been prominent during the Jurassic period. Down below us, you can see the Gobi Desert set with the raptors down there. It is green around the water, but it is sand everywhere else. There's our two T-Rexes down below. They're constantly fighting for dominance, but we're weaving now in between the redwoods of the Redwood National Forest. I've tried to have the track follow as much as possible into the exhibits to try and really draw in the viewer's eye. We got the Gallimimus over there and the Sinoceratops as we wind through the Dragon Teeth Mountains here. Up and over the Rockies, down below us, you can see there's the Albertosaurus right there hanging out. We have two in there. And then we're now entering into Okefenokee Swamp with our two Baryonyx over there fighting in the marshland. I would have had to have raised the road a little bit, otherwise it would all have been this sort of wetlands. And I really do want to have Spanish moss. That would be the best thing, to be able to hang from the trees here, but we don't have it. In this game, anyway. You best believe once we get into Planet Coaster and I have access to things like Spanish moss, there will be decoration on every surface. Heading to South America, we're now passing over the Pampas. Over here on our right, that's the Carnotaurus exhibit. See one walking by right down there, about to eat another goat. Very nice. Here at the southern end of the island, we have a separate little facility down here, which we could take a look at in a moment. But we've got a paleo botany greenhouse. There's a geothermal power station and a few viewing galleries. And I wanted with this island to try and design it in a way that I would design a garden. Very much organic, not any straight lines or anything. So this southern section is actually based around the rooting pattern of a tree so that it can spread the, disperse the things that are needed in an organic way rather than with linear paths. Got a beautiful view over the bay over on our left here. And another view of the Pampas as we pass over the top here. One thing I've done is I've actually combined the terrain paint tools as well as like the foliage paint tools, like the crag in particular I used a lot to try and change the color of the ground. So I've laid down sand and I have painted over the top of it with like crag and the coastal brushes to give like this difference in tone and to change the color of the earth itself, which I think is really helpful. There's not any way of painting it red, unfortunately. The dirt tool just doesn't handle that, but I tried as close as possible to try to replicate the stonework of these areas as well. You can see there's no straight lines, and I've only enclosed certain biomes 100%. The concrete barriers would be painted so as to not break immersion. And there we go. This is Sanctuary. The last of the Jurassic World Evolution maps that we haven't built on yet. But I'm gonna give you a quick talking about what's going to be happening with the future of this channel. Because like I said, this is the last of the Jurassic World Evolution videos. From here, I am moving on to our next big project, you guys. I am going to be taking on Planet Coaster, but also Planet Zoo, because in the future, I'm going to be launching a brand new project that I am calling Pure Imagination. Now, Pure Imagination is going to be nothing short of the greatest theme park in the entire world. That is to say, it will have all the greatest attractions, all the greatest roller coasters, animal attractions, live exhibits, entertainment, you name it, we're going to do it. I have plans already for how I want it laid out. More on that in a moment. Pure Imagination is a project that I've been wanting to do for some time. Jurassic World Evolution has fueled my joy at being a park builder. And I really enjoyed being able to live out my fantasy of making a proper Jurassic Park. And that is something that will be continuing into the future. I'm not leaving the dinosaurs just because I'm leaving the 5 deaths. As a matter of fact, once Prehistoric Kingdom comes out, I'm going to be incorporating dinosaur exhibits into Pure Imagination. It's going to be a ultimate fusion of 3 different video games to make the ultimate theme park. Now, if you want to support me in making Pure Imagination, you can do that, because I'm actually going to be starting a Patreon for this channel, specifically for the Pure Imagination project. Some of the rewards that you'll receive, you'd be able to name some of the attractions, you'd have the ability to have rides dedicated to you, and you would also be able to receive my art of book. As I go through and start designing assets, and I've played around with the game a little bit already, designing new builds and new blueprints, I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of that going forward, and I'm planning on putting all of my sketches together into an art of book, which is something that you will be able to receive as a Patreon supporter. So I'm very excited about the Pure Imagination project. And we will be launching that series pretty much starting next week. Hopefully I will be over my cough by then. But for now, if you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to support us on Patreon, you will be able to do so. I'm going to be putting a link in the description. You can also, of course, tune in for our future content, because starting next week, we will be going into the realm of Pure Imagination. And I'm so excited to be able to actually bring my theme park vision to life. So thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, I am the Pumpkin King, and I will see you later.